I would be surprised if he lasted this long, but it is running back. Jeremiah Love goes 16th.
Yeah, I just can't imagine that happens.
But if you were Tennessee, if this was
you made it take him anyways, right?
If this was TNR, Titans Nation Radio,
yeah,
and we would say right now you could trade back to 16, pick up
anything,
pick 33 as well, and you get Jeremiah Love still at 16. I think if we were Titans Nation Radio, we'd sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Now, I will say, if he gets out of the top 8 or so, there aren't as many landing spots.
Right.
I mean, he could conceivably
he's
fall.
not going to Miami.
Right.
You know, he's not going to Dallas. He's not going to Baltimore, I wouldn't think.
I wouldn't think. I mean, I would think some teams might start calling to trade up at that point.
I would absolutely think so if he starts to get close to the double-digit picks. 17th, the Lions select Akeem Messidor, edge rusher out of the U.
Okay. I always pigeon him. I always put them on team. I always put him on a team that needs to win now, and that fits. It's often Tampa Bay,
18, the Vikings select Caden Proctor, the big boy offensive lineman out of Alabama.
Okay. I'm not sure O-line's a huge need, but fair enough.
19th, the Panthers take Caleb Lomu, ends up going ahead of Fanu at 19.
He's a pure tackle.
He is a pure tackle. Yeah. And there's a lot to like with his game.
Yeah.
And then, Matt, the Cowboys on the clock again at pick 20, but they make a trade with the Niners. They move back to pick 27, and they pick up an extra second rounder. The Niners leapfrog the Steelers to draft Spencer Fano, so the Utah offensive linemen go back-to-back.
I was wondering how advanced this program is or whatever.
I kind of like that because that's something that a team they could be like, Steelers are going to take one of these offensive linemen. We got to go get them.
That's my exact thought. I'm like, I give this credit because that makes sense. I'm like, I'm going to have a hard time passing on Fanu. He might be your left guard and then maybe left tackle. And
heck yeah.
I bet John Lynch is thinking the same thing in this.
I wouldn't like it if it played out like that for the Steelers. I'd like the Cowboys to stay there and, draft some
defense
player.
Or some edge guy or something, right?
But that's why I like this. And thanks to all of our listeners for telling me to get my head out of my rear end and get over to the Pro Football Network. So Steelers on the clock at pick 21, Matt. And yes, Venga Ioane is still there.
Love it.
As is Kenyon Sadiq, Peter Woods, Avion Terrell, Caden McDonald, Omar Cooper Jr., K.C. Concepcion, Matt's new draft crush, Blake Miller, Brandon Cisse, C.J. Allen, Ty Simpson. We also, of course, Matt, have, let's see here, 3 trade offers, all right?
Okay. I get accused of trading down too often. But
we haven't yet in one of these.
That's true.
In our first 3 SNR Drive mock drafts, we've stayed at 21. Cowboys are the Cowboys getting active.
I say they're busy.
Cowboys have offered us pick 27 and pick 58.
I think I'm comfortable going that far.
With one of our 4th rounders from this year as well, too. So we'd give up this pick and a 4th rounder for pick 27 and 58. I think I would do that.
I think I would do that. I think you probably lose out on Vega.
You might.
I mean, I'm just saying, you can't count on him being there.
Yeah.
But my buddy Max would probably be around.
Ooh.
Concepcion has a chance to be there, or another wide receiver of note.
Chiefs offer us pick 29 and pick 74 for this pick.
The other one's a better deal.
I think the other one's a better deal. The Bengals, we're not doing business with the Bengals.
Nope.
So, should we accept that Cowboys trade? I think we should.
Yeah, I think we should.
We're just going to draft Venga and do the same thing that we've done for
that's a good point, right. And he might be there. He's a guard. He could fall.
Let's do it. All right. Here's how it worked out. At pick 21, the Cowboys took Avion Terrell, corner out of Clemson, younger brother of A.J. Terrell.
I assumed they were coming up for a defensive player, which I don't think hurt us bad.
No, but this did. Pick 22, the L.A. Chargers select out of Penn State, Venga Ioane.
Yeah, I would think they'd love him.
Blake Miller, the tackle out of Clemson, goes 23rd to the Eagles. It feels like they would love to add on the offensive line if one of these guys is available.
He's not my favorite, so that doesn't break my heart.
Oh, man. So now this would have been the Browns pick, but it's the Saints pick from that trade that we discussed earlier, and they take K.C. Concepcion.
Wow.
Oh, man. All of our boys are coming off the board here.
Yeah, it's a risk here.
25, the Bears select Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson, and 26, right before the Steelers draft, the Bills select Omar Cooper Jr., national champion out of Indiana. Oh, Matt, I wouldn't like that. I'd have some.
No, we got hit pretty hard.
I might have some seller's remorse.
Yeah, I think we got hit pretty hard.
So, this would be interesting. We have a trade offer from the Chiefs, Matt, to move back 2 more picks and to get a 3rd rounder in next year's draft.
That's appealing. Now, I'm going to lean towards Max.
But do you think but moving back just 2 picks, it would be the Texans and the Chiefs picking in front of us?
From what I recall, the Chiefs took a right tackle.
The Chiefs took a tackle already in this exercise. So, I don't know. That seems pretty safe.
The Texans could break our heart. But there's also like Boston, from what I remember.
Yes, Boston is still there. Your boy Max Ian-Achor is still there.
Did Lemon go?
Lemon did go, yes.
Okay.
He went to the Ravens at 14.
Yeah.
Brandon Cisse still there. D'Angelo Pons is still there. The other wide receiver from Indiana, Surratt, is still there. Chase Bistonis is still there. Pregnon is still there. I don't know. I would really consider this just because I feel like if we move back 2 spots here, Max is still going to be on the board.
All right, let's just give it a shot.
Let's do it one more time. We're only moving back 2 more spots, and we pick up the extra 3rd rounder for next year, which I would love to do.
Yeah, I want more stuff for next year.
Chiefs select Brandon Cisse.
Good.
Which would make sense.
Yeah,
After moving on from Trent McDuffie.
Right.
And it worked out for us, Matt. The Texans select C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia.
Okay.
So we pick up an extra 3rd rounder to still have all the same options, basically, that we would have considered.
That's the best feeling ever.
Yes. I'd make that trade more than the initial one, albeit the initial one.
We knew the initial one was riskier.
Yes.
If you're moving back that many spots.
But we added.
I thought Concepcion would be there for this pick.
I did too.
Yeah.
We added a day 2 pick for this year. We added a day 2 pick for next year.
And I think we had to throw in a 4th.
And we threw in a 4th to move back from 21 to 29. It's not bad.
I think we take Max here.
I think we do too.
Who wouldn't have been hard to convince me at 21.
Exactly right. And I would love him here in a situation like this where we
with
trade
all the
down
extra
and still
juice,
get him.
right?
I mean, we could talk about
Denzel
Boston.
These extra picks too. I mean, I've taken other O linemen on day 2.
Could talk about Chris Bell here. Chris Brazel's still there. I mean, there's some names certainly, but I think
there's intriguing receivers for sure.
I think we take Max Ian-Achor here. Is that good with you?
That's very good with me.
Let's do it. Everyone that hates us taking offensive linemen in this exercise is going to be disappointed, but at least we took a different one this time.
And it was a roundabout way of getting there.
Here's how the last of the first round ended up. The Dolphins select Kenyon Sadiq at pick 30. I think that would be smart for them.
It'd be so smart. I think they could take him at like 9 or 10 or whatever they pick.
One of the top 10 players most likely in the draft, and you build that nest up. Patriots select TJ Parker.
Steelers Nation, this is the part of the draft process that tells you everything about starts tightening, the names get more serious, and then suddenly you see the kind of move that changes the whole room. The 49ers jump up to pick 20 and tap an offensive lineman. It feels personal. It feels like they knew exactly what Pittsburgh might be thinking, and that is why this moment matters so much. It is not just about losing a player. It is about seeing how the board can turn. It was not random chaos, it was logical pressure. A team sees the Steelers sitting there with possible interest in offensive line help, and they go get their guy before Pittsburgh can react. That is the draft. That is why being passive can cost you. And now the Steelers are on the clock, and the pressure moves from frustration to decision-making. Do you force a pick? Do you panic? Do you stay disciplined? Do you trust names carefully? Wayner Aruan is there. Kenyon Sadiq is there. Peter Woods is there. Ty Simpson is still floating around as one of the more fascinating quarterback names on the board. There are real options, but there is also uncertainty. And then the trade offers start coming in. That is where the Steelers' mindset in this mock becomes so interesting, because rather than locking themselves into one panicked reaction after being jumped by San Francisco, they step back and ask the smartest question possible. Can we move down and still get a player we love? That first trade down conversation with Dallas is huge, because this is the kind of move that separates emotion from discipline. Fans hate the feeling of getting jumped, and the temptation is always to swing back immediately. But the smarter play is often to let the board breathe, gain extra capital, and trust your evaluation. That is exactly what happens here. They move down, collect more value, and keep their eyes on the players they still believe could be there. Then comes the second big decision, Another offer arrives, this time with Kansas City, and again they have to ask themselves whether patience can still win. And that is where this mock becomes a lesson in draft control, because instead of chasing the moment, they manage the moment. What I love about this whole sequence is that it captures something Steelers fans should want from this front office in real life: composure. Not fear, not desperation, composure. Yes, the board tightened. Yes, a team jumped them. Yes, names started moving. But instead of getting reckless, they stayed flexible and trusted that value was still there. And when you do that right, the payoff can be huge. And that payoff finally comes with Maxen Hook at pick 29. That is the beauty of the whole move. After all the tension, after all the fear of losing control, after all the trading back and reworking the board, they still land the player they wanted. Not just a name they settled for, a player they were happy to take even earlier. That is the dream outcome. That is why the frustration from the 49ers jumping up disappears by the end of the sequence, because Pittsburgh turns a potential draft night annoyance into a win. They get Maxen Hook and they stack extra capital on top of it. That is exactly the kind of sequence that should get Steelers fans excited, because it shows how a board can fall against you and still reward you if you stay sharp. The Steelers did not control what the 49ers did. They did control how they responded, and that is the message here. Draft night is not about getting every bounce to go your way. It's about surviving the chaos, adapting fast, and still walking away with impact talent. So, Steelers Nation, I want to ask you this. If the real draft plays out like this and Pittsburgh gets jumped for a guy they like, would you want them to stay patient and trade back if the value is right, or would you want them to attack and go get the player before someone else can? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you love this kind of draft strategy breakdown, and subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire, because if this draft really starts getting this chaotic, we're going to be breaking down every single twist, every single move, and every single Steelers decision all the way to draft night.